everybody. This is Damon Hart with Foxy Homebuyer, the Foxy Homebuyer. Just here as your guest today and super excited to be here with the real men of real estate for an exciting episode. We got a guest here, and you guys are going to be ready for this one. Before we get into our guest today, our special guest, I want to just say, thank you to, KCAA and the network that we're here on today. We're a CNBC and NBC. What's so special about that is we're broadcasted in the greater Los Angeles area to about 5 million homes, okay? So if this is your first time listening, I'm super excited to have you here. And myself, my name is Damon Hart, and I am the real estate investor, and I buy most of my homes in the state of Florida. I've been doing it for over 15 years. And my claim to fame is that I've been able to help not only, sellers get rid of their homes and reinvest and do things like that, but I've also been able to take people that have no experience in real estate investing and help them gain awesome returns, humbly speaking, over the last few years. So with that being said, I'd like to kind of segue into our guest here today. He's a really good guy, somebody that I've met through some really great affiliations, and he first blew my mind when we first started talking. He's so humble, so genuine, and he's done something amazing in a short amount of time. And I think not to steal his thunder, but he's just one of those guys that, when he does something, he puts all of his mind into it, and it's really paid off for him. So I just want to get with him right now and just kind of let you guys know who's here. And it's my buddy, Shane Miller. How you doing, brother?
What's up, Damon? Yeah. So, wow, what an intro. I could never say that kind of stuff about myself. So thank you that you said it first.
You're welcome. You'd be conceited if you did now.
Yeah. I am humble is the least humble thing I could say. So you had to say it for me.
For sure.
No, but in reality, I mean, it's crazy, like you said, to even me think about what I've been able to accomplish in the time I've been able to accomplish it. And ultimately, like you said, it's really just all about going all in. So really, a little bit of a background for me. Got started in mortgage in 2014, being a senior loan processor. Did that for a couple of years, bounced between companies, working those 12, 14-hour days, 60-hour weeks, making decent money. But, there's always something about it that I just always said, you couldn't pay me $2 million a year to do this, because it was just all my time was gone. I'd wake up, go to work, get off work, go to sleep. Right.
That was it.
And so even though the money was there and I was making more money than I was doing anything else before, it still was not enough for me. I knew there was something more to this, right? And so I made a transition from mortgage into commercial real estate, brokerage, where we sold apartment buildings, LA to San Diego. My first experience being around other guys my age making 7 figures, right?
Wow.
These commission checks are massive. But once again, I was still in an environment where I had to wear the suit and tie every day, drive to work, 60-hour weeks. And I'm like, man, what did I say when I was in mortgage? You couldn't pay me $2 million a year to do this. I was working with guys that are making $1, $2, $3, $5 million a year. And I'm like, wait, am I actually going to follow up on what I said? Or am I just going to try and chase the money and give up what I was telling other people, right?
Yep.
And so during that, we'd always be talking about what are things that we can do to invest our money in? Because these guys are making fat checks, right? What do we do with it? Okay, it's cool to make money, but we got to put it somewhere.
Sure.
And for me, I'm thinking like, how do I quit my job as quickly as possible so I can just free up my time, right? And so while they were trying to focus on making good returns, I was trying to focus on replacing my income, right? And so that got started with me learning about the ATM business. Just kind of a little side note.
ATMs?
Yeah, you can own ATMs. That's it.
I mean, I know that. But what about ATMs got you like? What was it that the idea? You're like, oh man, people have to invest in. They're always going to go get cash somewhere. What was it about ATMs?
I think we can all relate being able to need money and saying, man, my bank isn't close, but there's an ATM somewhere, right?
All right.
And so I think about all the times that I've used an ATM, and I didn't realize that when I started looking into it, over 50% of the ATMs in America are owned by private individuals, right? And I was like, wait, you can buy an ATM. So I started doing the math on this while I'm still working in commercial real estate, and I'm like, okay, how many ATMs do I need to buy to be able to replace this income, right?
Get it out. Yeah. And
so I started with one. I'm like, man, worst case scenario, that's going to pay itself off in 2 years. It's a great return, right? Paid itself off in 4 months. And I was like, hold on, there's something to this, right? again, I'm looking at it through the math of still real estate, like return on investment. It's like real estate. You got to put it in an actual business. You got to have contracts for that. It's a monthly income. There's expenses.
Sure.
And so I was like, okay, how do I duplicate this? How do I continue to do this more and more? Because if I get enough ATMs, I'm not really working those 60 hours a week, but I can make enough money to survive. Well, that turned into eventually me building out a business where I had just over 90 ATMs between Orange County and LA. And it provided me a good enough income where I could stop doing what I was doing and do this full time. And when I say full time, I was working 10 hours a week, right? Now, I say all that because I needed to kind of be honest about how I got into actually investing in real estate. That's where my money came from. But over the years, I've had too many people ask me, how do I get in the ATM business? And my personal advice with all that I know, it's not worth it. It's extremely difficult to get into, one of the most regulated industries because the amount of cash that you deal with. Banks don't want to bank with you. They see you as a risk. And so I'm like, once again, I'm in this spot where I'm limited by my growth. I'm not making the money that I really want to make, but I've got the time. So now that I got that taste of working 8 to 10 hours a week while making just over 6 figures, I'm like, okay, how do I do this? Now knowing what I knew about real estate for the last 6, 7, 8 years,
sure.
In a way where I can work the same hours that I'm working with the ATM business, right? So that's what got me attracted to short-term rentals. Because when I started hearing about people doing short-term rentals, this is, again, back in 2018 or so, I think, 2019.
Right.
I was like, this can't be real. Like, I know real estate really well. I was underwriting 30, 40, $50 million buildings, right? And I know the math on that. I know the math on $2 million buildings, but I'm like, the cash flow that I'm seeing on some of these short-term rentals with single-family pricing doesn't seem real. Just like I didn't think that the ATM business was real, right? Until I did it. And so I got connected with somebody that, I actually stayed at one of their short-term rentals, and I loved it so much. I said, hey, I'm looking to buy my first piece of property. I want to buy your property. And they kind of laughed and they said, Shane, if I sell any of my properties, this is going to be the last one I ever sell. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, well, look, let me tell you this. I bought it a year and a half ago for $475,000. Last year we did $550,000. That's when I was like, holy, there's something to this.
Something to this. So I'm gonna just kind of pump the brakes for a second.
Yeah.
Only because I brought you on here and I'm excited to get you to start telling everybody.
Yeah.
But for anyone that missed it, you're in the short-term rental business.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. So
So let's just unpack that for a second.
Sure.
Okay. And I'm gonna put one out of the box. You've how many properties do you have right now in that you've been in the business probably how long? 4 years, 5 years?
So I started my first short-term rental property that I bought was a year and a half ago.
Okay, so a year and a half ago. So I'm way overstating. And how many properties do you have under management right now?
So under management, we've got just over 80.
Okay.
And mind you, we're in Coachella Valley, so it's probably north of $100 million worth of real estate under management.
In a year and a half.
Yeah. And personally, I have 7 that I fully own.
Got it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But still, under management, control, whatever you want to say, you're
getting some money out of it.
Somebody's flowing through you 80 units worth, okay?
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing that I want everybody to kind of get about what's special about you. It's like, obviously, you could see a little bit further, but I think a lot of people are not different from you, and they say that they see a possibility. Now, you went and got started in it. What I'd like to do for everybody listening today is give them like the ups, downs of short-term rentals. But right now, it seems like, for you, it's like you're telling us that, this thing is real, right? More than anything.
Sure.
That's the one thing you can say about short-term rentals.
Yeah.
It's real. Yeah. Would you, is that what you're telling me? Okay.
More than 100%. Those are the numbers we're doing too. That's the crazy part.
So say more about that, man.
Yeah. So, I think that the number one question that I get, now, mind you, I have to say we specialize in luxury short-term rentals. So we don't just buy a piece of property, put it up on Airbnb. Right. We now have a fully vertically integrated operation, 45 staff, cleaners, handymen, painters, pool guys, all that kind of stuff, right? All within our control. Guest communication. Like last night, we had some wild guests at one of the properties at 2 a.m. We needed to go out to the property and say, hey, chill it down, right?
Right.
That's it within our own staff. We're not having to sub that out. Now, with the luxury short-term rental side of things, it's a little bit different than just your typical short-term rental because it's different metrics. But, the number one question I do get, regardless of whether it's luxury or Airbnb or short-term rental in general, is it even going to stick around? It seems like it's a fad, because this whole Airbnb thing, it's only kind of popped up in the last handful of years, right? And I always just tell them, look, Jesus of Nazareth, right, 2,000 years ago was a victim of short-term rental real estate, because when his mother Mary was pregnant with him and she's looking for a place to stay, and she's like, man, we're traveling this long way, I need a hotel to stay at, which is a short-term rental, by the way. The landlord was doing business so well, he said, sorry, no vacancy, I'll rent out my barn. You can stay in the barn, right? So that's just a funny story to tell you that at least 2,000 years ago, short-term rental real estate's been around.
That's awesome.
So it's just kind of changed shape over the years.
For sure.
And if you notice, I'm always using the word short-term rental. Most people say Airbnb, but that's just a company. That's just, they're a tech company.
Right.
They don't own a single piece of real estate. Right? I'm the one that owns the real estate.
You're the one that holds that. So look, I feel like this is a awesome start. Just like everything else you do, we're going, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to give as much value as possible.
Yeah, for sure. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to hop right into a quick little break. And then what I want to do next is I want to pull back a little bit and get right into kind of how Shane got started and really what you want to do to get into short-term rentals, if that's something that you would want to be excited about. And I think you might. So with that, let's take a little break, and I'll see you guys on the next one.